away and have a great day. Is there anything that I can get for you before we get started?
Now, I like intimate groups because it allows me to get off script. If I have a large group, I can't take a lot of questions. I stay on script, I stay on task, and then we run right through it. But on days like this, we can kind of bounce around. So I'll do it however you want. I personally I enjoy kind of keeping a loose script because it keeps me on track so that we're not here all day. But we can work on deals. I can work more to the iPad. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we can do on a day when there's not as many folks in the room, which is okay. So.
Anything that you need before we get started? Are you good?
I don't think so.
Do you need another extension cord?
I might.
Okay.
Nope. I got one.
You good? Okay. If you do, just let us know.
I got one right here. I just want to make sure. I'm not running off my laptop. I'm running off my iPad. But I always have my laptop here just in case. All right. Before we start, how many people in the room have iPads? Keep your hands up for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let me ask you a question. Would you get rid of it?
No.
Would you get rid of it?
Got something better?
Huh? Nothing better. So would you give it up? So let me ask you a question. What do you use it for right now?
Playing games.
Playing games? All right, that's fair.
Notes. Documents.
Keeping notes and documents. Okay. How about you? Well, you saw me in full force using it, huh?
Yes, exactly. So,
Okay.
started. Yeah, do a lot of stuff that I can't do with my laptop when I'm traveling. I do it.
Okay. Yeah.
I just want to share something really funny. My husband, I got him an iPad after I saw you for Christmas. You were
Yes.
here in October. And I didn't get him the Wi-Fi.
You mean the 3G at the
Yeah.
time? Yes.
And because we have internet at the house. But he works for a big construction company, and when I showed him the calculations and how to do the measurements that you had showed me that night we were at dinner, he convinced the corporate headquarters to buy the latest laptops. It took him 6 months, and a month ago he got the latest brand new that corporate headquarters paid for all the project superintendents.
Awesome.
And he did a training for him, and he uses it exclusively now for construction and rehabbing, and when he goes to Home Depot to do his lists and everything. So that's all because of
Awesome.
what you showed me that night.
Well, most people use it for email. Most people use it for games. Most people use it to search the internet. Maybe occasionally to read a book. And that's primarily what the average person uses it for. I, on the other hand, use it for everything. It goes with me everywhere I go. The only place it didn't go is I didn't take it with me this weekend. I had it in my car, but I didn't take it into the museums because I just didn't feel like toting it around. Although, there are some places, some museums, that if you have an iPad, it is an interactive museum, and you can learn a heck of a lot more by using the interactivity of the iPad in whatever place you're going. So what we're going to do today is, there's really 3 things that, if you were here, who wasn't here the other night? Okay, at the Wednesday meeting. Okay, if you weren't here at the Wednesday meeting, I talked about it. I don't even know if I covered it briefly in here, but there's 3 reasons businesses fail in the United States. And as real estate investors, you need to know that. And the reason you need to know that is because you can avoid them. Well, take that back. You can't really avoid. You have to identify and change what you're doing so that you avoid them. because every business goes through these cycles, which we'll show you in a minute. But the first one is money, marketing, and management. If you think about it, all three businesses have issues in those areas. If a business fails, it's generally because of one of those three reasons, if not multiple reasons, multiple of those three. So you, as a real estate investor, are no different. You have a money issue. Some of you may not have enough money. Money may not be your issue, but maybe marketing is. Because if you have enough money, but you don't know, if you don't reach out to enough people to raise their hand to say, hey, let me sell you my house, doesn't matter how much money you have. So marketing is the next piece, and then the third piece is management. Now I've lumped a whole bunch of stuff into management. Management could come in the form of, there we go, I'm getting more people now. Management could come in the form of systems, not knowing what to do. Could come in the form of technology. Could come in the forms of manpower, lack of, too much, when to add, when not to add. Could come in the form of education. Because in this business, the more you know, the more you make. So what I'm going to try to do today is expand on what we did Wednesday night. Some of it that you're going to see is going to be very similar to what we saw Wednesday night, because there's always a mixed group in here. Not everybody that came Wednesday is here today, and vice versa. So some of you that were here Wednesday will see some of the exact same slides you saw Wednesday night, but bear with me because we'll get through that and get into more of the stuff that you haven't seen. How many people think I'm here to sell you something today? Seriously. I'm not here to sell you a thing. I have stuff up here for you to, if you want to take advantage of it, absolutely. I am not a salesperson. I'm an educator. Don't get me wrong, I make money at this by selling product. Okay? But you have to make the decision whether this is for you or if it's not. My job is to make it affordable for you and to make you realize what's in here is useful to you. Okay? If I do my job throughout the day, you will see how useful this information can be, because I'm here to tell you, I don't care who it is, education in this business is absolutely paramount. Education is king. Because if folks, I can't tell you how much money I've spent on my education, because you probably wouldn't believe me. Maybe some of you would.
Yep. I would.
But even the worst seminar I've ever gone to, if I pull one thing out of there that was useful, it's made me money. So it's paid for. I mean, I've been to $5,000, $10,000 boot camps and walked out there and went, oh my God, that was awful. That was a complete waste of money. But later realizing that I picked up 1 or 2 or 3 little nuggets from there that will have made me at least that, or probably 10 times more than that. Even though I thought at the time it was maybe not the best use of my money. I promise you this is not going to be one of those, though. So I just want to get that out of the way, because that will be about the extent of my sales pitch for the day. I'll pass around a slip for you, a little yellow slip that will kind of outline what's up here and what's offered to you. And then at lunchtime, what I'll probably do is go through it a little bit just so you understand it. But the way I've structured my day is basically like you see these in stacks today. Although this comes first today. Because I usually teach the education, how to buy, then how to negotiate, then how to put private funds on a property, then how to sell it. Well, I honestly believe that the most important thing out there is money. especially in this day and age, because banks, although they're starting to come back, banks aren't lending money. So we've decided in the training to move this section up because it is more relevant to most people. So we're going to talk about money first. Now let me give you a background on myself first before we get started. And again, I'm probably going to skip around a little bit. This isn't something that's going to be scripted all day long. So some of the stuff that I have in my slides, I'm already covering. So just understand that. I don't even, where was I going with that?
You're going to start with money.
Okay, well, we'll start with money.
And why?
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Just to give you a little background on myself. Well, we'll start with that one. Is that working? There we go. Just to give you a little background on myself. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I used to work for Airborne Express. I worked for them for about 10 years. Anybody know who Airborne Express is? Ever heard of it?
Yes.
Okay. I was a district manager for them, but I was also an efficiency expert for them. My job for Airborne Express was to go into a failing station and basically, for lack of a better word, I was the hatchet man. I would go in, I was an efficiency expert, I would go in, they trained me to do this. This isn't my education by education, it's by trade. OJT, on-the-job training. I would go in, take a failing station, clean house if I needed to, keep the good, push out the bad, and make them more profitable. I did that 7 times in 7 different places in 10 years for Airborne Express. So about 10 years into this, I said, you know what? And it was all union facilities. So about 10 years into it, I got burnt out. I was like, you know what? I want to really, my kids were pretty little at the time. They weren't really in school. So I said, you know what? I need to establish some roots for my family so that they have something. I don't want to bounce around and have them in all different schools. So I took a job in Georgia. Worked for a small furniture company. Oh, actually, I worked for Office Depot in their big building, big business service division. And good company, but I tell you, they were probably the most inefficient company you could ever see. They had no technology in their company. Everything was done by manpower. And we just had, or my philosophy and their philosophy were totally different as far as how I felt the company should be run. And so I moved on to a smaller furniture company, and at this time I was in Georgia. So I was there, I went from 200 employees at Airborne Express to like 18. So here I am, bored to tears within months. So my wife one day grabs me by the ear, because now, anybody here move a lot? Several times? Okay, what happens when you move from place to place? Pack up a bunch of boxes, you get to the new place, what happens?
You kind of leave them unpacked.
You unpack most of them, and there's still those, dozen or so boxes that stay packed because you're like, I don't feel it. They're just not something that we need to worry about right now. Well, after 7 moves, you can imagine what my garage looked like, because every move we just wouldn't unpack X number of boxes. Well, my wife literally grabbed me by the ear one day, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but this was, I guess, 1997. When I started working for Airborne Express shortly after I started working for them. I've been working with them for a while, but in 1991 I worked on the flight line as a supervisor when I first started with them. And my job was to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get a crew, go to the airport, unload the aircraft, and come back. By the time 9 o'clock hit, where most of you were getting up and moving, I had half my day in. I had a 6-hour day already in. So I'm getting ready for work one day, and I look on the TV, and what do you think I see? Infomercial. Carlton Sheets, to be specific. So I ordered it. Got it home, spread it out. Thought I was going to be the next millionaire in 30 days. This was back in 1991. Gathered it up, put it back on the shelf, didn't touch it again. Until 1997, when my wife grabbed me by the ear, and she said, she walked me into the garage, literally, I'm not exaggerating, she pointed to those boxes and says, if you don't go through those boxes and get rid of them, I'm tired of tripping over, I'm tired of doing this. If you don't go through those, I'm putting them to the curb. We haven't opened them in 10 years. I'm putting them in the curb. There's obviously nothing in there we need. So go through them, find out what you want to keep, otherwise they're gone. Like, yes, dear. So I sit down, Indian style, in the garage, and I open the first box. And lo and behold, what do you think stares me right in the face? Now, anybody here have kids? When you send them, when they're little, and you send them to their room to clean their room, unsupervised, what happens?
Not sit there and play with it.
They get the first one that interests them, so they start playing with it. Well, I was no different. I opened that first box, and lo and behold, was this Carlton Sheets course. Well, I opened it up, and I was like, oh, look what I found as a gift. Because I'd always wanted to do real estate. So I opened it up. It was still in cassettes. It didn't even have DVDs. I didn't even have a cassette player. Because everything at that point had changed to CDs. So I had to actually go out. So I'm like, honey, I'm going to a Walmart and get some boxes. She's like, okay. So I go to Walmart, I get this converter. I come home and I convert. Needless to say, that was the end of my cleaning, right? So I started listening to the tapes. And the reason I'm telling you this is because some of you may have the same scenario. And I'm going to kind of give you an idea of education and how important it really is. So I started listening to the tapes. And one of the things that hit me deep down is I didn't like, of course it's great, it's fine for entry level, get you introduced to it. But what it didn't do for me is I didn't feel good about, one of his concepts is buy property, go down to the bank, borrow money, and then your next property, borrow against this house, leverage this house to buy this house, and so on and so on. Can anybody see a problem with that? Or was it just me?
You got a lot of payments to make.
Well, it's not so much the payments. You're building it on a house of cards. So if one starts to topple, guess what happens to the other ones? Because it's all built upon one another. Okay? And I didn't have bad credit. I just didn't want to ruin my credit because I was afraid. I wasn't broke, but the money I did have, I didn't really want to put at risk. So none of this was feeling real comfortable to me. Has anybody ever had that feeling? It's like, okay, I don't really want to get out there and really expose myself and lose a lot of money because there's so many questions I have going on right now. It's like I didn't know enough. Like in the world of air freight, I was a pro. I was a professional. I was an expert. I did it every day, all day long. People came to me. But when I stepped out onto the real estate market, I was like, I know nothing. I barely knew how to spell real estate. So here I am, I just didn't understand. So I met a guy who told me, he gave me 2 pieces of advice. He said, go see this speaker, who at the time was Ron LeGrand, and join your local RIA group. Do we have anybody in here that is not a member of District RIA? Excellent. Because I would tell you, the first piece of advice you need to take advantage of is join your local RIA group. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care where it is. I don't care what you have to do to get there. Do it. Because that is going to make you a lot of money. Because in more ways than one. If you want to make $1 million, who should you hang around? Millionaires. If you want to make a $40,000 job or a $30,000 job, who should you hang around? Those types of individuals. So if you really want to make a difference, and it's more so who should you listen to, not so much who should you hang. There's lots of, I hang around people that have no income all the way up to people that make millions of dollars a year. It's who do you listen to for advice? Because when I first started this, my sister said to me, and my mother at the time, "Oh, you're absolutely nuts. That's illegal. You're taking advantage of people. That will never work." Anybody heard that? Okay? If you listen to that, you won't be long in this world. Ron LeGrand gave me one piece of advice one time. He said, "Okay, I want everybody to look to the right. I want everybody to look to the left. Look behind you. Look in front of you. 4 out of 5 of those people, you being one of them, will not be here in a year." Is that a staggering statistic? 25% of the people make it in this world, or in this business. I don't know that I agree with that, but I do agree with one thing. If you don't have a commitment, and you don't have a purpose and a reason for doing this, and you don't have direction and focus, you could be one of those statistics. Okay? That's what differentiates me from others, because my first purpose is to give you direction and focus. So right now, at the top of your page, I want you to write 2 words, fairly large. I want you to do this exercise at home. I want you to write the word action and the word focus. I want it large, I want it circled, I want you to be able to look at that all the time. Now, the second piece of advice I will give you is this. What do you want to make a year? What is your time worth? And again, I'm covering some of this stuff, so we're going to skip through some of the stuff at the beginning because I'm already covering it. What is your time worth? How much do you want to make? What is your hourly rate? I can tell you what mine is. Mine's $200 an hour. So if you call me and you want to sit down in Atlanta and go through a consultation with me, it'll be $200 for an hour. Now that doesn't mean that every task I do I charge people $200, but that's what my time is worth. That's what I value my time at. So if that's the case, now yours may not be that high, yours may be $50, yours may be $100. Whatever that dollar amount is, it may be $20, it may be $10, I don't really care what it is, but it has to be realistic, and you have to believe it to be so. You have to believe your time is worth whatever you put it as. Then I want you to take that hourly rate, and I want you to go home, and I want you to create an index card. I want you to have as many of these index cards as you want, as you need. And I want you to tape these things everywhere you sit, that you have a tendency to procrastinate. I'm not kidding you. At the top, I want action/focus, very big, and right below that, I want your hourly rate. Now, some of you are laughing, but I'm going to tell you something. That is by far the best exercise you will ever do in your life. Because if you have a tendency to procrastinate things or get off task or unfocused with daily life like I am, I tell people I have ADD all the time. Because I have a tendency to have multiple things. We'll start one way, I'm like, okay, good. I'm a great idea man, but when it comes to really getting down into the nuts and bolts, I'm off to a new idea. So I really have to work at that, and most people are the same. How many people watch TV? They go home in the evening and they watch TV. After dinner, they click on the remote. I taped, my wife was like, she looked down one day, she said, "What is this?" There was a little note. It said exactly that, action, focus, and then the dollar amount. She goes, "What is this?" I'm like, "Trust me, just leave it there." So she did. I put these things everywhere. Ask my children, they'll tell you. They'll tell you how much my time is worth, and they'll tell you everything, because it's teaching them too. Here's what you're going to do when you do that. when you sit down at the couch and you reach for the remote, you're going to ask yourself by looking at it, it's just going to be a mental nudge. You're going to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now going to make me or cost me money? Okay? You still have the choice. You're the one in charge. So you could say, yeah, forget that. I'm going to sit here and watch TV with my wife because that's more important than $200 an hour. Or watching whatever TV show is on by yourself, is that the best use of your time? Probably not. But if you don't have those mental jogs, you won't realize it. In my car, I put on there the same thing when I drive. I have it in there, stuck in there. Because if I'm driving one way home, my normal way, this is the fastest, which there's nothing to see except pavement. I look at that and go, oh, okay. I take a different way home and I drive through neighborhoods. They take me a little bit longer, but guess what? You know how many deals I've probably gotten because I decided to take a different way home just because of that one card? And I went, okay. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been thinking about it. You had a question?
I was going to say, I went to the Batman movie last night with my son, and we're coming home, and I'm asking him questions about the movie. He said, well, Dad, you need to watch the other two movies first. So I started going through the guide on the channel. The thing that I found, it was like on demand. It was going to be $4, $5, $6 to watch it, and then I kept scrolling around, and I found it for free, and it's tomorrow, and I recorded it. And then I said, I got to get back to read my emails. I don't need to be watching this.
Exactly. Now, sometimes there's a purpose for that. I mean, if you're, I work a lot. I am what you would call your typical workaholic. As some of you have seen on my vacation, I'm doing emails. That's one of the negative things about having an iPad. It's a positive and a negative. With an iPad or with a smartphone, you can't shut it off. If you don't physically shut it off, it will keep going for you. Okay?
Was it mounted on your dashboard when you did the video?
It was. Did you see that? Who saw the video? Who saw the video that I did the other day? Or yesterday? Okay, was it yesterday? I saw it. Both of them, I think.
When you went downtown, whatever day it was.
Yeah. I have a little dashboard mount for my iPhone, and I just hit record. I did pull over because I was like, okay, maybe this is a little dangerous.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's a little dangerous. Maybe I'll pull over and finish the video. But I work constantly, but I will take time out of my evening to spend with my wife because otherwise other parts of my life will suffer. You can't be so, one-dimensional. You have to have a balance. All right. What we're going to show you, what we're going to show you today is I'm going to share some results with you, and you're going to see very quickly I don't do any deal unless I make at least 20 grand and my cash flow is at least $400 a month. If it doesn't meet those two criteria, I don't do the deal. And we're going to show you some evaluators throughout the day that's going to help that decision so that it's not a gut feeling anymore. There's actual real science to it. Okay? What I'm going to show you is stuff that I've done since 1997. It's a complete system that I do. Now, the advantage of putting all of this together in one system is it's start to finish, A through Z. You don't have to, there's lots of good products out there. The problem is, everybody has a different style. Everybody has a different way to integrate them. So you may buy one private lender course, and it may be totally different than how it's integrated into the system. Okay, so that's why I've put this whole thing together. That's why I don't just sell one product, because I think people really want a business in a box. And that's the whole purpose for the iPad too, because not everybody will give you a system this complete. Nobody that I know will give you a system this complete, because it all integrates together. So I'm going to show you what's working today. I'm also going to show you how you can do everything right from your iPad. Everything you need when you need it all in one place. Now those of you, again, raise your hand if you have an iPad. those more people came in. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in the room. Okay. 2012 is the year of the deal. The problem is most people don't know how to really put them through it. I'm going to create a challenge for you. This is my challenge. I want 500 people making $250,000, $250,000 in the next 12 months. Because we're halfway through 2012, so we're going to extend that another 6 months. So it's basically a 12-month program. I want you to make $250,000. That's my challenge to you. Anybody interested in that challenge? They want my help? Okay, good. This is a video which I just put in there because I thought it was funny. Just thought it was funny. Okay. But it's like anything else, a system without action is basically worthless. It's just talk. So if you're interested in that, then you need to pay attention. Now, we're going to talk about some other things real quick. Does your office look like that? Or close to it? Raise your hand if it does. All right? I want you to write this down. I want you to write down this scanner name. Thank you very much. It's called a NEAT scanner. N-E-A-T. Do not buy any other scanner out there. I'm not kidding. I have researched them all. Do not buy any of them. It's a $399 scanner. That's all it does is scan. So don't think it's a multi-purpose printer, scanner, or whatever. Those are garbage. Don't ever spend your money on those. To do a business right and to go paperless, you will need a good scanner. Now, this same scanner could sell upwards of $1,000 plus. This scanner is very, very fast. It scans both sides of the documents. You can do an internal where it saves it internally to the program, or you can save it externally to whatever file system you use. Okay? It does it all as far as scanners go. And if you catch it right, you may even be able to put on, when I bought mine, I had 4 payments of $99. And if you call them, you may say, hey, we saw a special of 4 payments of $99. Do you guys still offer that? And even though they don't advertise it, they may still give it to you. That piece of equipment plus an iPad, plus I don't care what other kind of computer you use, will completely eliminate all paper in your life, for the most part. I mean, you're never going to totally eliminate it, but you'll be 95% paperless. Because with an iPad, especially if you have, anybody here who has the One? iPad 1. Okay? iPad, just so you know, and I don't mean to spend your money, just so you know, on iOS 6 that's coming out in the fall, the iPad 1 will not upgrade, I don't believe, according to their keynote, will not upgrade to iOS 6, which they have a lot of cool things coming out on iOS 6. So you may want to eBay that thing or Craigslist that device and upgrade at some point. But those of you that doesn't have a device, now I probably should go here because some of you are like, look, I didn't come here to buy an iPad or a tablet. I'm not here to sell you a tablet. I'm here to tell you how to run your business using the system. And I want you to think of it this way. If you were to buy a McDonald's franchise, are you going to tell McDonald's, I don't really want that. I don't want that piece of equipment. Right? But you pretty much guaranteed, if you own a McDonald's franchise, guess what? It's going to be probably a 99% chance you'll succeed. Okay? This is no different. You are running a business. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but I am going to tell you you are running a business. If you want to run a business and actually make it a business, then you need to do the right things and put the right tools in place. Now, there's all range of things that price ranges. So take your pick. But like Tammy said, I'm going to give you one piece of advice. People say, well, how about an Android? Can I use an Android? Anybody here have an Android tablet? You have a tablet? Okay. You can use an Android. You can. The problem with an Android is they don't have enough apps. It's not so much the hardware. Okay? It's not so much the hardware of what it looks like and what it, all the bells and whistles it has. It's what it runs on. It's the apps that run it. Because that's really what you need. You don't need to be a professional apps writer. All you need to be is take the programs I tell you and use them in your business. Okay? So Android, although it's a perfectly fine platform, it does not have the tools, enough tools for you to use. That's why I migrate to the iPad. Okay? That's why I use the iPad. So, but I'll give you one, like I said, I started to say with Tammy. One piece of advice, before you buy, come talk to me on a break or whatever if you decide maybe this is the direction you want to go. Before you buy, come see me, because one thing I will tell you is do not buy one without the 4G in it. Cheap out on something else, meaning go cheaper on the storage, whatever. But Tammy will tell you, based on her husband's experience, once you start using it, if you buy one that's Wi-Fi only, you're going to go, I really could use this right now. Because not every place, until every place across the planet has Wi-Fi and it's readily available, you're going to be places that you need Wi-Fi. And more specifically, I don't care about the fun places. I'm talking about if you're looking at a house and you're using this to actually do what she said, like do the inspections and all that stuff, you need Wi-Fi. You need internet. I'm sorry, not Wi-Fi. You need internet.
The best part to that is that after he got the new one, he said, if you want my old one, you can have it.
And you said, no, thank you.
No, I'll wait and save my money to get a new one.
That's the only advice I will give you. I don't care what size you get, memory-wise. And by the way, you don't have to have a tablet to do this system. You can have a laptop, you can have a netbook, you can have whatever device you have to do the system. I'm just telling you what makes it easy, and really, when you start seeing what I do, you will be amazed. All right, so how many people's car look like this? Anybody have one of those little desks in their car? Like I used to? As I told Leslie, he said, what was the name of that thing? I have what's called an Arkon, A-R-K-O-N, car, I don't know what you call it, stand, that attaches, and it's real simple to attach. It's about $30, and attaches to the seat bolt, where your seats, the front seats are bolted into the car. You just loosen one of those bolts. It has like a fork that goes in like this. You tighten that bolt back down, and it's like a platform. You just snap it in, and it sits right there to your right of your car. Now you're saying, well, why would I do that? Because if you use it for a GPS system, if you use it to do your mileage, if you use it to look up directions, you're sitting somewhere, you're looking at comps, all that is done here. You don't have to have it on your lap. It doesn't fall on the floor, all that kind of stuff. It's just good, easy business sense. All right?
Does it interfere if you have passengers?
No, it does not. Because it's flexible, you can move it. And generally, most people, like when you sit, you have so much space in between. I just take it and it sits like this. A lot of people just turn it and go, can I use your iPad? They start playing with it.
Especially for kids.
Yeah, yes.
Is there an app for mileage?
I'll get to that. Absolutely. What do you think? What do you think?
So it positions itself in front of the console, ahead of the shifter, whether it's an automatic or a shift.
Yeah, whether it's an automatic or shift, you can move it. It's on a flexible. Do you ever see like a microphone stand that you can kind of move around?
Pivot joint.
Huh?
Pivot joint.
Thank you very much. That's what it's called, pivot joint.
We get it. Best Buy or what?
No, Arkon. That's the best one I've found. A-R-K-O-N.
Online?
Online. Okay? Let me see if my Bluetooth is on. Looks like we're still connected, so we'll see. I'm going to play a movie. How many people can finish that?
Stuff happens.
Nope. But I know where your mind's going.
Start with this. Results happen.
Nope.
Let's play Hangman.
It's shift happens. Anybody ever see this video? Let me see. Hold on, let me see if I can turn this up. Oh, sorry. Probably turn it up from here. Whoops. Can you hear it? This is about this is several years old, so. This is actually about 4 years old, maybe even older than that. So imagine the statistics now. That number is dwarfed right now. If you take the number of people on YouTube, using YouTube, you would be the third largest country in the world. By the way, my son could beat this record. Just keep remembering, this is 4 years ago.
Pretty amazing.
Now, the reason I show you that is because I have a lot of people in the audience that have a tendency to say, look, I'm an old, guy or gal. and
Dinosaur.
I'm a dinosaur. And technology is just not for me. And the reason I show you that is, let me ask you a question. 6 years ago, if you think back 6 years, how many people did not have a cell phone? A couple of you. Let me put it a different way. 5 years ago, how many people had a Facebook page? Five years ago? I don't even think they've been around 5 years. 2006?
Have a Facebook page?
Facebook. How many people have a Facebook page now? Okay. Anybody here have 2 cell phones? 3? Anyone here have 3? Oh, that's right, you had 3. Or was it you that was at the meeting the other night had 3? Okay, I look at people that have 3 cell phones and I go, what on God's earth are you doing with 3 cell phones? Now, I get that people need to communicate to you and you want to kind of hide yourself or compartmentalize using different phone numbers and so on and so forth and want to be mobile at the same time. But technology is here, folks. You can do all that if you're set up the right way. Okay? Well, who had their hand up for multiple phones? What do you use 3 phones for?
Different companies, certain people I want them to have certain numbers. I also use Google Voice too, but I have multiple numbers.
Okay. Same with you?
No, I park phone numbers that I've had over the years. So when I move somewhere, I get a phone number locally, and then I just keep it forever.
Okay, but do you have separate cell phones?
Yeah, for each one of the phone numbers.
Okay. Okay. Who else?
Unless there's a way to combine phone numbers, and
There's a way to forward them.
yeah, but you still have to have an account somewhere with a phone on it. So you might as well get a cheap phone and just put in $20 or whatever it is a year.
I'll solve that for you. I have 3 phone numbers coming into 1 cell phone. Huh? There's a way you can do it fairly easy. Yes.
Yeah, I work with a team member who's a realtor, has a sign that have that number on it, so I just have it forwarded to my cell phone.
Okay.
So he's been using that number on a lot of advertisement rather than adjust and change all his phone numbers over. We keep the phone number and then we transfer it to my cell.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Well, let me ask you this. Would it work for you if you had those phone numbers pointing to one place? You paid $14 a month, and it gave them an option. Hey, if you're calling Joe, press 1. If you're calling Steve, press 2. Or whatever options you want to choose. Do you need me to go back up?
No,
Would that help you? Because one of the things that I'm going to show you is how to put your whole business system and make it easier. There are lots of devices out there. If you think, if I walk around, I'm going to walk around for a second. So if I walk around, okay, you've got a phone, you've got a notepad. You have an iPad and a notepad. You have 2 phones. You have 3 notebooks. You have a laptop, a phone, and a notebook. Okay? What else we got in here? Anybody here?
All made in China.
All made in China. Okay. He has a date planner, right? Or this is looks like a Franklin Covey. Franklin planner. Anybody have one of those? Okay. Let's see, what else we have? You have a laptop, you have a kind of a portfolio with an iPad.
No, I think it's an HP.
Okay, it's a tablet. And you got a notepad. Okay? You have a laptop, you have
That's my
Couple
notes from
things going on.
yesterday.
you got a notepad and an
I
iPad.
have my notes from yesterday.
Okay? Folks, I'm here to tell you, if you have an iPad, that's all you need. I mean, you can have a cell phone. I don't want to, that'd be like me ripping off one of your arms. But
Is there a way to not have a cell phone?
yeah, there is, but I don't know that you'll like it. because people are so committed to a cell phone. It's like, I mean, when you leave your house without your cell phone, what do? You go back and get it. It's like, oh, geez, I left. I mean, think about that. Think about 15, 20 years ago when you didn't have cell phones, or not everybody had a cell phone. You just waited till you got to you're like, I forgot to call him. And you waited till you got to the destination, and then you picked up the phone. Okay, now it's like, I need to have access to everybody every minute of the day. Okay, that's just the world we live in. So the point I'm trying to make for those of you that feel you're a dinosaur, I understand, but guess what? Society is not slowing down for you. You are going to be left in the dust, and if you are running a business and want to run it successfully, you need to keep up. Minimally, but keep up. Okay? So let's see. We talked about these already at the beginning. So I'm going to skip these. Remember, I said we're going to kind of move around here. Let's see. All right. So here's kind of what we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on talking to motivated sellers, having enough deals in your funnel, marketing, if you will, creating a system, using some proper tools, knowing the exact steps, having enough money, and then, wait, let's talk about this for a second. Did I skip one? Let's see if I skipped one. I don't think so. I think that was it. Yep. So, what's the problem with most systems that you see that people bring to you? Outdated, one. Missing something. Everything's put together. Huh?
I don't use it.
You don't use it. Why don't you use it? I can tell you why, but I want you to tell me.
It enjoys the shelf?
Huh?
It enjoys the shelf?
Yeah, because you can't reach it on the shelf. When you need it, it's not at your fingertips. So you don't, I mean, who the hell, sorry, pardon my French, who wants to carry this around with them everywhere they go, to every deal? Okay, right? And you go, oh, wait a minute, I gotta look that up. Excuse me. You go look it up. Of course you don't want to do that. So what happens to a course like this, material like this, it gets put on the shelf, especially once I give you something like this. If I were to stack this together, it's this takes up a whole shelf. Okay? Do you think there's valuable information in here that you're missing if you don't have it, if you haven't listened to all of it, or if it's not at your fingertips? You think you're missing something? Of course you do. That's the problem with most of them. Lots of great information in this stuff. But the problem is it's usually theory-based, and you have to build it. Okay? You have to create it. You have to take the time and go through this whole thing. Now, you still have to take the time to go through anything, because that's what you're going to learn. But did you know that 90%, it's actually a little bit higher, but did you know 90% of all franchises are in business after 5 years? Take your McDonald's, your Burger Kings, all the franchises. Okay? But if I take and walk you down to the Small Business Administration, they're going to give you a statistic that looks like this. One out of five are in business after 5 years. And that may even be high in this economy.
And that doesn't say if they're successful.
Right. Well, that just means they're still in business. They may be limping along. So, what's stopping you? Very key point, because the rest of my day is going to be built around what you've just told me. I need somebody to take some notes for me. Who has good handwriting and can take notes? Or a piece of paper.
Oh.
Because I'm going to have you rip it off. All right? Now, you can sit there as a bump on a log and not open your mouth and absorb what I tell you and walk out of here and go, that was great. Or you can actually open your mouth, because it is statistically proven when you actually open your mouth and say what's